Sony just buried 26 confirmed details in these trailers, including one comic villain nobody caught, a Hulk color swap that isn't a mistake, and a building in the background that connects directly to Avengers Doomsday. By the end, you'll know who's really controlling damage control. Let's break it down. The trailer opens with Peter hanging upside down over New York. Not just a stylish shot, it flips our sense of orientation before a word is spoken. Everything about this movie starts off balance, and the camera tells you that first. Peter's scrolling MJ and Ned's social media. They're at MIT, happy, building a life that used to include him. Erased from it, not just physically, but from memory itself. Phone off, mask on. One motion, one statement. Peter Parker is stepping back, and Spider-Man is what's left. Then that clean dive into a full swing. Classic motion, but carrying weight it's never had before. And here's a detail worth freezing the frame on. Behind him in the skyline is Avengers Tower, fully renovated with a new spike-like arch design first seen in Daredevil. Born Again. According to people who saw early footage at Cinecon, this exact version of the tower is what shows up in Avengers Doomsday. So this isn't just a cool background shot, it's a direct visual link between these two upcoming films. Same cafe as No Way Home, same letter he still can't hand over, and a quieter detail. Peter exhausted, watching his mask spin in the washing machine. No dialogue needed. The bruises say enough? Now hold on to this one. The city wants to give Spider-Man the key to the city. Sounds simple until you notice who's presenting it. Someone tied directly to Kingpin's network. Fisk doesn't hand out public praise without an angle. Keep that question in mind. It comes back by the end of this video. This is where the Mutation storyline starts. Peter collapses, not from a fight, from something inside him that isn't stable. He tears out of a silk cocoon, a direct callback to Raimi's 2002 film, Push Darker. Then the biggest shift. No web shooters. The webs come from his own skin. This is where the story stops being about tech and becomes biology. And Peter's not figuring this out alone. He's still got his AI assistant running, and in one shot it reads out exactly what's happening to him in real time. Organic webs, heightened senses, increased agility. Peter tests it out on a rooftop, presses down on his own arm, and webbing shoots out. Then he immediately gags. That rooftop web test is a direct nod to Tobey Maguire's original Spider-Man, where Peter first tried out his organic webbing in almost the exact same setup. A classroom vaccine scene. The needle bends, can't break his skin. A kid explains it herself. Spider puberty. Sounds like a joke, but Tom Holland has used that exact phrase in real interviews. It's not a punchline, it's the thesis of the movie. Right after, a screen graphic flashes 50% human, 50% arachnid. Confirmation this mutation is progressive and accelerating. Peter goes to Bruce Banner for help, but Banner doesn't recognize him. Doctor Strange's spell erased that friendship too. Banner runs the DNA test, warns him it could go very wrong. Here's a detail almost nobody caught. The broken inhibitor wristband Peter's holding reads ASM-14, a nod to Amazing Spider-Man issue 14, Spider-Man's first ever encounter with the Hulk. Hold on to that. It connects later. His powers keep spiraling, and soon his apartment is covered wall to wall in webbing. A quiet shot at Aunt May's grave, rain falling. MJ's there too in a yellow sweater, a callback to her design from Spider-Man, the animated series. It's hard not to think of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3, where Peter stood in a cemetery and told MJ they couldn't be together. Except this time, MJ doesn't even know why she's standing there. The real question is whether she even remembers why this grave matters to her. Then chaos. A massive explosion hits the Department of Damage Control, and we get our first look at a mysterious girl held captive inside. Her identity is deliberately hidden. That's not an accident. That's a signal she matters. Who is she and why is she locked away? Second big question this video answers. Soldiers and civilians start acting controlled. A tank gets stolen mid-city. Points to a bigger villain behind the scenes. Now, this next part is a theory, not confirmed. Some analysts think the Department of Damage Control itself might be manufacturing these threats to justify its own funding. Not confirmed by Marvel or Sony, but the pattern fits a little too well to ignore. Matt Gargan returns as Scorpion, fully upgraded, ready for a real fight this time. In the comics, Gargan was originally hired by J. Jonah Jameson to dig up dirt on Spider-Man before an experiment trapped him inside the Scorpion suit permanently. That backstory matters here because it means Scorpion has never really worked for himself. He's always been someone else's weapon. Worth remembering once we get to the damage control theory. He's not the only new threat either. The trailers also tease Ramrod, a cybernetically enhanced villain recreating a shot straight off the cover of Amazing Spider-Man issue 221, crashing into Empire State University, the same school where Banner now teaches. In the comics, Ramrod was a corrupt oil rig foreman who got forced into cybernetic enhancements and blackmailed into obeying a criminal handler, with a poison implant ensuring he had no way out. Another hired weapon, not a villain acting on his own. Here's a detail most people missed. In an official Sony clip, the Hulk isn't green as he's gray. Likely not a mistake. In the comics, Grey Hulk is a distinct personality, calmer, more calculating, fully in control, and able to speak like a normal person instead of smashing on instinct. There's actually production history here too. Rumor has it that when Hulk was unleashed by a mind manipulator back in Avengers Age of Ultron, the original plan was for him to appear gray in that scene, before it got changed. If Brand New Day is finally cashing that idea in, it changes everything about how this fight plays out. Subtitles from a TV spot appear to confirm the damage control boss, played by Tremel Tillman, is William Meeser, a mutant-hating activist straight from the comics. And here's why that wristband detail matters now. Meeser runs the exact department holding that captive girl. Same building, same boss. That's the shape of this movie's real villain network. Frank Castle hits Peter with a van, no warning. But Peter already knows him. That one word, Frank, says they've got history. Later, Frank hides MJ on a boat called the Golden Girl, pulled straight from Amazing Spider-Man issue 141, where Punisher lives on that exact boat. Earlier, Peter sees MJ with someone new, the biggest gut punch in the trailer. But later, one calm shot shows them together again, no chaos around them. A glimpse of the final act and possibly the moment MJ starts to remember him. And the craziest sequence in the whole trailer. Spider-Man surrounded by ninjas from the hand, his mask ripped off. When one strikes with a sword, he catches it barehanded and snaps it in half. Proof this Peter is on a different level. And since the hand ties back to Daredevil, this is where the Kingpin connection from the start comes full circle. That award ceremony, that presenter. This is very likely where it was always heading. Put it together. Kingpin's people honoring Spider-Man in public. Damage control possibly manufacturing its own villains. Using hired weapons like Scorpion and Ramrod to do it. William Meeser running that department. A captive girl nobody's supposed to know about. The hand answering to someone bigger. 4 threads, all pointing at the same conspiracy. That's every detail confirmed across both trailers and the TV spots. Spider-Man, Brand New Day hits theaters July 31st, and if even half these threads pay off, this is shaping up to be the darkest, most personal Spider-Man story yet. Which detail matters most to you? Drop it in the comments, and if you want the full breakdown of who's really behind damage control, that video's coming next, so subscribe so you don't miss it.